Okay, y'all. We got an important topic today. Today's NBA day on the channel. I've got a little bit of a rant for you. This is not. I don't really think this affects me. I'm a Warriors fan. I don't think this affects me. And yes, I've been a Warriors fan for before Kevin Durant was there and before they started winning championships. So don't come at me. My dad's from Central California. I'm also an A's fan, so I'm an Oakland guy. Don't come at me. Anyway, what we're talking about today is tampering in the NBA. Now, the reason I thought of this is because I wrote a paper about it. I'm not going to cite all the sources and crap that I cited in my paper. I really didn't cite sources, actually, so I'm not going to do that. But today we're talking about tampering in the NBA. So basically, what the NBA defines as tampering is talking about a player that is currently under contract and talking about their future. So whether that be another player talking about it, so like LeBron James talking about Kevin Durant, or whether that be Magic Johnson when he was the GM for the Lakers, talking about another player like Ben Simmons, who was under contract in Philadelphia. Even if you're not saying, I would like that player on my team, talking about somebody who is not on your team unless asked like a specific question when like playing them in games. So Magic Johnson could talk about the way Ben Simmons performed in a game that the Sixers played the Lakers, but if he just randomly brought up Ben Simmons or tweeted something about him, that's defined as tampering. So even the Milwaukee Bucks, when they were asked in like a town hall style meeting, their GM was asked before this season, do you want to bring Giannis Antetokounmpo back on the max extension? And he said, yes, our current plan is to offer Giannis the max extension. Because he couldn't technically be offered that extension yet, that was defined as tampering and the Bucks were fined. So the reason that tampering has become an issue is, in my opinion, because of the 2010 Miami Heat. When LeBron James made his decision and said he's taking his talents to South Beach, and they created that big three in Miami with Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and LeBron James, that's when the tampering era, in my opinion, started. And that became a problem because after that, with how powerful that team was, even though the 2011 Mavericks took them down, teams needed to start basically teaming up together in order to take down some of these super teams. And then once LeBron went back to Cleveland, it was the Golden State Warriors that were deemed a super team, especially with Kevin Durant. And now everybody's been teaming up. You have James Harden and Russell Westbrook in Houston. You have Anthony Davis and LeBron James in LA with the Lakers. You have Paul George and Kawhi Leonard in LA with the Clippers. So you have a lot of these guys teaming up together, trying to take down the Golden State Warriors now. And the kind of idea started with the Miami Heat. So what I want to talk about today specifically is how I don't think that the NBA really can change anything when it comes to tampering. Here's why. After a game, what's one of the most common things you see? When Dwayne Wade was on his retirement tour, after almost every game, he went and he exchanged jerseys with guys, right? Whether it's LeBron, Melo, other guys in the league that he has become friends with, Chris Paul, things like that, he would exchange jerseys with guys. And starting with especially that banana boat squad, which was LeBron James, Chris Paul, Dwayne Wade, and Carmelo Anthony. I believe that was the four of them on that banana boat squad that we saw in the early 2010s. So one of the things that's happened a lot in this league, basically since Michael Jordan left and since we've seen the LeBron era in the NBA, is we've seen a lot of guys become friends. Oh no, they're becoming friends. How dare they? That's awful, right? No, basketball is a game, okay? The same way when I talk about Major League Baseball, the fact that they have a marketing issue because they don't let the players have fun. They don't let them bat flip because people get drilled all the time, whatever. The same way that Major League Baseball just needs to let their guys have fun and be friends, they actually do a very good job of being friends off the field. The NBA seems to think that's a bad thing. So if LeBron goes up and talks to Lonzo Ball after the game, he has to worry about what that looks like because he's afraid of getting fined for tampering. Or Magic Johnson, basically the reason Magic Johnson left as the GM of the Lakers. I mean, you can talk about Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss and all of those factors, but one of the biggest reasons is Magic Johnson loves teaching other players and giving them his wisdom, and that's something he couldn't do on the scale that he wanted to do when he was in LA. One of the biggest things that Magic Johnson wanted to do is work with Ben Simmons because he saw Ben Simmons as basically a very similar player to what he was when he was younger. Obviously, Ben Simmons is nowhere near what Magic was, even in Magic's first year, because we saw that ridiculous game in the finals, Magic's rookie year, when he played center. He's a point guard, but he was 6'9". So he went and played center, had a ridiculous stat line, and won the game for the Lakers. So you see that from Magic Johnson. That's what Magic was capable of. So he sees Ben Simmons as somebody that he wants to work with. He wants to mentor him, which he couldn't do when he was in LA because he was getting worried, and he was actually fined for talking about Ben Simmons and trying to help Ben Simmons in the offseason. So because of that, tampering has become a very hot topic in the NBA. You see LeBron and the Lakers getting fined for talking about Anthony Davis in 2017 and 2018 when that really didn't stop them. It was a minimal fine. Even now, the biggest fine that can be handed out for tampering is $5 million. That's not going to hurt an NBA franchise, really. It's not going to go towards their salary cap. If you really want to hurt an NBA team, take $5 million off their salary cap. You're not going to do that, so it's not really going to have any effects on any NBA team. They're still going to tamper. And the biggest reason I think that the National Basketball Association, as much as I love Adam Silver, and you will hear again and again on this channel, on my podcast, in articles, how much I love Adam Silver, as much as I love that man to death and I love what he's done with the NBA, I really don't think that he can control tampering. The reason being, guys talk in ways that you cannot monitor. Guys text each other, they call each other, they FaceTime each other, they hang out, they go to dinner, things like that. That are not easily monitored. Yes, you can monitor what's going on on the court. You can monitor things like that. But even so, if there's a jersey swap after the game, are you going to call that tampering now? Are you going to say that these guys can't swap jerseys, they can't shake hands and do high fives? I mean, that might not happen anymore because of coronavirus. Who knows? We might see things like that, customs change. But you're going to say they can't swap jerseys or shake hands or hug after the game? Like, really? We're going to go that far now because you're that worried about super teams that are forming to try to beat Golden State. Like, I'm sorry that Golden State was so good for so many years and the Miami Heat were so dominant for those couple years that super teams had to form in Boston and all across the NBA now. These super teams are trying to form in order to win because now in the NBA, you need two stars to win for the most part. You can't have a team dominated by one player the way LeBron was able to carry the Cavs. Yeah, you could carry them to the finals, but you're not going to win the finals with just one player. Even if you look at Toronto, yes, they had Kawhi, but they also had Kyle Lowry, who is a bona fide all-star. They have Pascal Siakam, who is now, in my opinion, one of the top 10 or 15 players in the league. Defensively, he's one of the top 5 players in the league. He's fantastic. So when you're looking at that, there's only so much that can be done in order to stop these super teams from forming because of tampering. I really don't think tampering is that much of a problem. I really don't think it's going to harm the NBA. If you think about it, it actually has helped the NBA because you have these super teams that get people really interested in the games between the Lakers and the Clippers, and the games between the Lakers and the Warriors, and the games between the Rockets and the Warriors, things like that. Why are people interested? Because there are stars going at each other. We're not interested in Eric Pascal and Eric Gordon going at each other. I don't care about that. What I care about is Steph Curry getting switched on to LeBron James and trying to guard him. What I care about is Kawhi Leonard matching up against Klay Thompson, two of the best defenders the NBA has had for the last couple of years. Those are the matchups I care about, not the minuscule guys. And that's not to demean Eric Pascal or Eric Gordon or role players like that. I mean, heck, even Steve Kerr with the Bulls in his days from 93 to 98, I think, even Steve Kerr was one of the best role players. He has the best three-point percentage ever. Now he's a Hall of Fame coach and probably was a borderline Hall of Fame player with the three-point shooting stats that he had. I mean, Steve Kerr was not a star, but he's someone that's fun to watch. So when I say that, I don't mean to demean those role players, but my point is the people that sell tickets are the stars. And so bringing more stars to a market is not inherently a bad thing. Yes, you could argue that it hurts the smaller teams, but in terms of the NBA and the selling power of the NBA and the marketing power of the NBA, having super teams is actually a good thing. So kind of overall, I don't really see a problem with tampering in the NBA right now. I don't see a future problem with tampering in the NBA. I think it benefits the NBA. I think it benefits a majority of teams. Even if there's a team like the Indiana Pacers who lost their star in Paul George, he was going to leave no matter if Kawhi recruited him, no matter if LeBron recruited him. He didn't want to be in Indiana. That's a problem with the market, and that's something that is way bigger than basketball. The fact that Los Angeles, New York, California, just in general, even cities like Houston, Chicago, those markets are much more desirable just because of the way the city is built, the way that the culture is there, all of those things that go way outside basketball that the NBA cannot control. So if you really want to get rid of tampering, it's just not going to happen. I'm sorry. I recognize the fact that ethically it could hurt some of these smaller market teams, but in terms of the marketing power of the NBA, just the financial success of the NBA, and in terms of the excitement factor, tampering is going to stay if you think about it that way. But I think tampering has a very negative connotation to it that I don't believe is how we should be looking at it. In my opinion, it's friends wanting to play with friends or good players wanting to play with other good players. It's not tampering. There's not malicious intent behind it. They want to win basketball games, and the best way to do that is to create a team that has more than one top 15 or top 20 player in the NBA. That's the way you need to build a team now to win, and that's the way that players, GMs, coaches, organizations are realizing, and so they're going as far as they can within the lines to do that. And if they're within the lines of what the NBA has right now, I have absolutely no problem with it. I think the NBA is just really concerned about optics, and that's fantastic. They should be concerned about optics, but I don't think they should be as concerned as they are right now. So those have been my thoughts on tampering. Let me know in the comments if you agree. Let me know if you disagree. What teams do you think formed because of tampering? What teams do you think will form in the future that are super teams because of tampering? Let me know. As always, thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.